We often look at people who hit massive fame and they seem almost unreal, Their lives feel so different from ours.
Totally. Like they're on another planet sometimes.
Exactly. But if you actually dig a bit deeper, sort of peel back those layers of celebrity, you often find these surprisingly universal themes, right? Like struggles with who you are, searching for meaning, that really tough journey of just growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Justin Bieber is such a fascinating example of this.
He really is. He's way more than just a pop icon.
Yeah.
His whole story, from that small Canadian town to global stardom.
And then those very public challenges he faced.
Right. It gives us this really compelling way to look at things like resilience and how you find your place in the world.
Absolutely. And that's why his story connects with so many people, I think. Even if you're not, a huge fan of his music, you're seeing a life lived under this intense, almost unbelievable level of scrutiny. And that just magnifies all the basic human stuff, getting through adolescence, figuring out who you are, trying to find some kind of purpose.
Couldn't agree more. And for our exploration today, we're drawing on a narrative from famous people, English stories.
Oh, okay.
It basically lays out his life chronologically, from the very beginning right up to where he is now. Think of it as our roadmap for this deep dive.
Got it. So we're following that timeline.
Yeah, looking at the key moments, but more importantly, trying to pull out those insights about personal growth that his very, very public life shows us.
And for you listening, this isn't just like a celebrity biography, right?
Not at all.
It's really a chance to see how someone deals with immense pressure, how they change over time, sometimes dramatically, and how they grapple with that big question of purpose.
Yeah, powerful themes that go way beyond pop music.
For sure. And we'll be pointing out some maybe unexpected turning points and those aha moments that really stand out in his journey.
Okay, let's dive in then. Chapter 1, The Beginning. Justin True Bieber, born March 1st, 1994. Stratford, Ontario, Canada.
Right, and the first thing that jumps out is his mom, Patty Millette.
Yeah, she was so young when she had him, just 18.
A single mother, too. And the source notes she raised him with a lot of love and support despite, facing challenges.
Definitely. And the setting itself, Stratford, is kind of interesting, isn't it?
It is, because it's known mostly for its theater festival, right? Shakespeare.
Yeah, exactly. Not exactly a music hotspot.
Which makes Justin's early, intense interest in music stand out even more.
Yeah, it suggests it was something really innate in him, not just absorbed from his surroundings.
It's something deeply personal.
And that passion showed up early. Even as a little kid, he was apparently obsessed with music.
And the self-teaching aspect is amazing.
Isn't it? He basically taught himself drums, guitar, piano, trumpet.
Wow.
Primarily just by listening, watching videos.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube was becoming a thing then, and just practicing relentlessly.
That really says a lot about his drive, even back then, that kind of intrinsic motivation.
It really does. And that self-directed learning. Wow, at such a young age.
Yeah, that suggests that natural talent, but also that proactive approach. Not waiting for someone to teach him.
Which probably helped him later on dealing with the industry.
I bet. And that drive started getting noticed locally, right? Around age 12.
Yeah, he entered a local singing competition in Stratford. Sang So Sick by Neo.
Okay, I remember that song.
Apparently, people were just blown away. This little kid with this huge voice.
He didn't actually win, did he?
No, didn't get first place, but he definitely made an impression. People remembered him.
And that performance, that was kind of the catalyst, wasn't it? Because his mom filmed it.
Exactly.
Ugh.
This is the pivot point. Patty uploads the video to YouTube.
Initially just for family, right? people who couldn't be there.
Yeah, just sharing it with relatives, but, the internet being the internet.
Things take on a life of their own.
Totally. Strangers start finding it, liking it, sharing it, and suddenly more and more people are seeing these, really raw home videos of him singing.
It really shows the power of those early platforms, doesn't it? YouTube democratizing talent discovery.
For sure. Bypassing the usual gatekeeper.
Especially for someone outside the main music cities.
So he becomes this, mini internet star. People loved these covers. He did Usher, Chris Brown.
Yeah, just him and his guitar piano. Very authentic.
And the views just kept climbing. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, eventually millions.
That rawness was probably key. It wasn't some polished thing. It felt real.
Definitely. And then comes the big discovery moment.
Scooter Braun.
Right. Music industry guy. Stumbles upon a video, almost by mistake, apparently.
He was looking for someone else.
Yeah, something like that. Clicked on Justin's thumbnail, watched it, and was just instantly convinced. Saw the potential.
Wow. So he saw not just the voice, but maybe the charisma, the connection factor.
Must have. That whole package. So Scooter starts trying to track him down.
Which probably wasn't easy back then.
Right. He digs around online, makes calls, finally connects with Patty.
And she was hesitant at first, wasn't she? Understandably.
Very cautious. Single mom protecting her son from this industry figure she doesn't know.
Makes sense.
But eventually, Scooter convinced her he was genuine, that he really believed in Justin and had a plan.
That must have taken some serious persuasion.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
And that led to the next big step. A trip to Atlanta.
Wow. From small town Ontario to Atlanta. Huge change.
Yeah, first time on a plane for Justin, apparently. Meeting Scooter, seeing studios.
Getting a taste of the professional music world. That must have been mind-blowing for a kid that age.
Totally. A massive leap.
But the really key meeting was with Usher, right?
Oh, yeah, that was pivotal. Scooter arranges an audition, basically, in front of Usher.
No pressure.
Right. And Usher was apparently super impressed, saw the talent, the passion, the it's factor.
Usher's stamp of approval would have been huge. Massive validation.
Absolutely. It gave Braun's belief that extra weight opened doors.
And that led directly to the record deal.
Yep. Signed with Island Records at just 13 years old.
13. Incredible.
That's the moment, really. From YouTube covers in his bedroom to a major label deal. It happened so fast.
An incredibly rapid ascent. Talent, timing, technology, guidance. It all just clicked.
Okay, so chapter 2, he's signed. Now the work really begins, right? Developing him into a star.
Moves to the U.S., starts working with all the pros, producers, writers, vocal coaches.
A whole new world. But the source emphasizes he wasn't just carried along. He worked hard.
Yeah, it mentions his passion, his focus, a really strong work ethic for someone so young.
Which is easy to overlook, isn't it? You just see the fame later.
Definitely. People forget the sheer amount of work and adjustment that goes into it.
So 2009, he drops his first single, One Time.
Super kitschy, young love theme.
Totally. And the video was really relatable, right? Just him being a normal, kind of charming teenager.
Yeah, enjoying himself. And it just exploded.
Instantly. Big hit in Canada, the U.S. Suddenly, everyone's asking, who's this kid?
It was perfectly timed, tapped into that pop sound. Great launch pad.
And with that hit, the fan base just solidifies.
The Beliebers.
Yeah. They became this incredibly dedicated, passionate group. Really fueled by YouTube and that first song.
They felt a real connection to him, didn't they? Beyond just the music.
Seemed like it. That early loyalty was huge for his momentum.
Amplified everything he did online.
Then comes 2010. The first full album, My World 2.0.
Right. Had Somebody to Love, Deenie Meenie, and of course...
Oh, it's Baby!
Oh, baby! He couldn't escape it.
Seriously, massive global phenomenon. Most viewed YouTube video for a while.
It sparked so much conversation, too. People loved it. People hated it.
But everyone knew it. That song cemented him as a global name.
Definitely. No longer just a YouTube wonder. He was a proper pop star.
Appearing everywhere. Talk shows, award shows, world tours.
And the fan reaction was just intense. Screaming crowds waiting for hours.
Knowing every single word, it was a whole new level.
But that level brings its own challenges, doesn't it? Especially for someone so young.
Absolutely. This is where the source starts talking about the downsides. He's what, 15, 16?
Yeah, while other kids are dealing with high school drama.
He's doing global press tours, meeting thousands of people, constant travel.
Exciting, sure, but incredibly demanding. And just not normal.
That lack of a normal teenage life really starts to come into play.
Yeah, those formative years are crucial for figuring things out, and his were just completely different. Potentially isolating.
He couldn't just go to the mall, right?
Yeah.
Or hang out in a park.
No way. Constant attention. Fans. Paparazzi. Every move watched.
Judged. Rumors swirling. That's immense pressure for a teenager.
That lack of privacy, the constant surveillance, it takes a toll, especially when you're still figuring out who you are.
Still, he kept going, driven by the music, the fans. He released that 3D movie in 2011, right? Never Say Never.
Yeah, that did really well. Showed his backstory, behind-the-scenes stuff.
Probably deepened that connection with the fans even more. Made them feel part of the journey.
For sure. And he did have support. Scooter Braun became more of a mentor figure.
His mom was always there. Usher offering guidance.
Yeah, but even with that, you get the sense the weight was getting heavy.
Definitely. He's growing up. His musical tastes are evolving.
But he's also maybe longing for just a bit of normalcy, right? Amidst all the chaos.
That tension is palpable. Wanting artistic freedom, but being stuck in this massive fame machine.
Which leads us into the next phase, Chapter 3, the struggles behind the spotlight.
Yeah, this is where it gets complicated. Addresses that paradox. All the success, money, adoration.
But significant personal challenges lurking underneath.
And highlights that external success doesn't guarantee internal happiness, does it?
Not at all. It shifts from the perfect rise to fame story to, well, the messy reality of being human, even under those lights.
Exactly. Growing up so publicly meant every mistake, every struggle was front page news. Like living in a fishbowl.
Totally exposed.
And in 2012, he releases the Believe album.
Right. Trying to mature the sound, aim a bit older. Boyfriend was the big single.
Yeah, definitely a shift. But this artistic change happens just as reports of personal difficulties start increasing.
The timing is interesting. Exploring new ground musically while maybe struggling personally.
And then there was the whole Jelena thing.
Oh, yeah. His relationship with Selena Gomez. The media obsession was relentless.
Every detail, every breakup, dissected by millions. Imagine trying to navigate young love under that microscope.
Impossible pressure. It puts an insane strain on any relationship, let alone one between two massive stars.
And around 2013, 2014, the public perception really started to change, didn't it?
The headlines weren't about music anymore.
No, it was about behavioral issues, reckless driving, vandalism, that arrest.
Yeah, the sweet boy image started to crack, or at least that's how it was portrayed. People started wondering what was going on.
It seemed like a visible sign of the internal turmoil, right?
Yeah.
Acting out.
Often a symptom of feeling overwhelmed, lost, maybe not having the tools to cope with that level of pressure and lack of normalcy.
And the source digs into that, feelings of being lost, lonely, confused, depressed, maybe.
Yeah, the lack of privacy, always having to be on, trouble trusting people.
It paints a picture of someone really struggling behind the scenes.
It's important to see that behavior as likely coming from a place of real distress. That environment can be brutal.
So in 2014, he makes a big move. He steps back.
Stops touring, right? Tries to find some quiet.
Yeah, recognized he needed help, needed to address things, started focusing more on family.
His dad, younger siblings, and reconnecting with his faith, too.
Exactly. Looking for some peace, some direction there.
That decision to actually pause things, prioritize his health, that was pretty significant.
Huge. Showed some self-awareness, realizing he needed to step off the treadmill.
And he even issued a public apology, didn't he?
He did. Acknowledged his mistakes, talked about being human, wanting to do better. Pretty vulnerable for someone in his position.
That took courage. And it was probably a necessary step towards rebuilding things. Humanized him a bit after all the negative press.
The fan reaction was mixed, though, as you'd expect.
Sure, some probably felt let down. Others were maybe more empathetic.
Yeah, his core fans, many hoped he'd get better, showed that whole spectrum of how people view celebrities in crisis.
Highlights those complex fan relationships. Some feel personally invested, others see the human struggle.
But the key thing from this period is that he seems to come out of it with a different perspective.
Right. A focus on making more meaningful music, living healthier, having learned some hard lessons.
Yeah, learned about the dark side of fame, maybe, which sets up the comeback.
Okay, chapter 4. The comeback and the purpose. This details his efforts to actively grow, right?
Yeah, very deliberate. Surrounding himself with better influences, prioritizing mental health.
Using prayer, reflection, reading,
Yeah.
things like that.
And he's spoken about how his faith gave him a feeling of a second chance.
That focus on inner well-being, connecting to something bigger, seems like it provided a new foundation.
Moving away from just chasing external validation, maybe, towards something more internal.
Yeah, building resilience from the inside out.
And you really hear that shift in the music. He talked about wanting it to be more authentic, connect deeper.
Not just about hits, but about emotion.
Exactly. And then in 2015, boom, the Purpose album.
Which felt like a massive turning point, didn't it? Artistically, personally.
Totally. Songs like What Do You Mean? Sorry, Love Yourself. They just felt different. More honest, vulnerable, mature.
Yeah, the sound changed, the lyrics went deeper, more willing to show that vulnerability, a real departure from the earlier stuff.
What do you mean? Becomes his first ever Billboard #1. Huge milestone.
And sorry, even with that beat, felt like an acknowledgement, right?
Yeah, like a public nod to the past. And then Love Yourself, co-written with Ed Sheeran.
Much more stripped back, personal, showed a different side, more range.
Those songs really connected because they felt universal, didn't they? Relationship messiness, regret, self-acceptance.
Filtered through his very public journey. Made it relatable.
The whole album felt like a statement, really. Learning, healing, growing. And people responded.
Definitely. The Purpose World Tour was huge. Sold out everywhere.
And his whole vibe seemed different too, right? Calmer, maybe wiser in public.
Yeah, seemed more grounded. It felt like the public was accepting this new, more mature version of him.
But even then, the pressure didn't just vanish. In 2017, he canceled the rest of that tour.
Yeah, citing mental and emotional health again, prioritizing well-being.
And what was different this time was the reaction. Mostly understanding, supportive.
Yeah, felt like maybe the conversation around mental health was shifting a bit, even for celebs. More acceptance.
That decision, putting health over career momentum and money, that showed a real change in priorities.
And a deeper understanding of his own limits, maybe. The public response reflected that growing awareness, too.
So during that break, he focuses on his personal life again and reconnects with Hailey Baldwin.
Yeah, things moved pretty quickly there. Engaged in 2018, married in 2019.
And the source really emphasizes her role, providing stability, happiness.
Seems like that relationship became a really important anchor for him, a source of stability outside the craziness of his career.
He kept making music, though. Changes in 2020.
Softer, more R&B, romantic themes, clearly reflecting the marriage.
Yeah. And then Justice in 2021. More outward-looking themes. Hope, healing, unity.
Had some big hits, too. Peaches, holy.
But the one that really stood out, for me anyway, was Lonely.
Oh, yeah. Incredibly raw.
Just expressing that feeling of isolation despite having everything fame-wise. It seemed to really connect with people on an empathetic level.
Yeah, using his platform to share that vulnerability. It fosters connection. People relate to feeling alone, no matter their circumstances.
So when you look at the whole arc, from Baby Bieber to now,
Yeah.
husband, man of faith, artist with purpose, it's quite the transformation.
A remarkable journey, and the source acknowledges it's ongoing, right? But he's clearly developed coping skills, a different perspective.
Yeah, it powerfully shows that growth is a continuous process, especially navigating the kind of life he has.
Which brings us to the last part, Chapter 5, Legacy and Looking Ahead.
Right. It sums up just how extraordinary his path has been. YouTube to global icon with all that personal evolution.
He really has become a symbol of, well, growth and resilience, hasn't he?
Yeah, showing you can navigate huge challenges, learn from mistakes, even when they're splashed all over the news.
It's a powerful example of change, finding a more authentic way forward after hitting rough patches.
And his openness about health struggles, anxiety, depression, Ramsay Hunt syndrome.
That's huge. It helps normalize talking about this stuff, needing rest, getting help, especially for younger people who look up to him.
That transparency is so valuable. Shows vulnerability isn't weakness, it's just human.
Absolutely. And the stability of his relationship with Haley seems key, too.
Yeah, their mutual support, focusing on maybe a quieter life, grounded in love, not just fame.
Provides that crucial anchor, a shared focus beyond the industry's demands.
And his influence now goes beyond music, doesn't it? He's using his platform more for philanthropy, social issues.
Yeah, supporting charities, speaking out. Shows a growing sense of responsibility, using his reach for good.
Musically, he's still exploring, too. Collaborating with different artists, trying new sounds.
Suggests that artistic growth is still happening. He's not just resting on his laurels.
And it's cool to see how his fans have grown with him.
Right. Many who loved the early stuff now connect with the more mature, introspective music. It's like a shared journey.
That suggests a pretty deep, enduring connection there, beyond just the hits.
Definitely. So his legacy isn't just about awards or sales figures, is it?
No. The source frames it more around his perseverance, his commitment to getting better, showing that setbacks can be launch pads for growth.
Yeah. And it thoughtfully connects his story back to you, the listener, encouraging reflection on your own challenges, your own search for purpose.
Ultimately, his story is a potent reminder, isn't it? That everyone faces struggles no matter how successful they seem.
Exactly. His willingness to change, learn publicly, share those vulnerabilities, it offers real insights into resilience and finding meaning.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Justin Bieber's journey. Wow, quite a ride.
It really is.
We've seen him go from that talented kid to navigating insane fame, facing those public struggles, and then finding this renewed purpose through growth and self-understanding.
It really highlights resilience, the need for mental well-being, and just the possibility of real transformation.
Definitely. And maybe the final thought for you listening is to think about your own spotlights.
Whatever pressures you face in your life.
Yeah. How do you navigate your own path of growth, your search for purpose? Justin's openness is compelling.
It reminds us you don't need to be a superstar to face intense scrutiny or need that inner strength, right?
Absolutely. It's a universal journey in its own way.
Well said.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive into the evolving story of Justin Bieber.